Hi, my name is Alice, and today I'll be explaining to you about the New Zealand political and economical system. New Zealand is a constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary system of government. This means that the head of state is a sovereign, currently Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen is represented in New Zealand by the Governor-General, Sir Jerry Matepuri. There are three different branches of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. The legislature includes the Governor-General, head of state, and the MP, members of Parliament. They make up new laws and update old ones by carefully looking at and talking about bills. They represent New Zealanders by giving a voice to different ideas from people and organizations. In the New Zealand Parliament, there are 7 parliamentary parties. These parties are represented by 121 MPs. These MPs represent 64 general electorates and 7 Maori electorate. The other 50 MPs are selected by the party list. So you may be wondering, how are the MPs chosen? An election will happen every 3 years. Each voter gets 2 votes. The first vote is called the party vote, and it decides on the total number of seats each political party gets in the parliament. The second vote is called the electoral vote. Voters vote on the MP they want to represent their electorate. As I said before, New Zealand is divided into 71 electorates. The candidate who gets the most vote wins. The executive branch is basically the government. It is made up of the Crown, represented by the Governor-General, cabinet ministers, and the public service. They make day-to-day decisions on how and what New Zealand should spend their money on and brings proposed laws to Parliament, and has responsibility for developing, initiating, and implementing policy. The judiciary are the judges in courts. Judges interpret and apply law through the court system. They can also review decisions made by the government. So what are the pros and cons of having a constitutional monarchy? Well, the positive is that, first of all, it maintains history and tradition. A monarch also provides a sense of stability as they only have one person as the representation of the government at all times. Second, it creates balance. A monarch is limited in power. It is balanced out by the alternative governing body. The two need to work together to create a stable government. The Prime Minister and the other parts of a Governor-General are there to guide the monarch in governing choices. This makes it a cohesive type of government. The negative things is that, first of all, if a monarch is oppressive, nothing can be done about it. With the occupancy of a monarch only ending with death or abdication, he or she will stay in power for decades. If the monarch is a bad person, the people will have no way of ending his wrongdoings. Second of all, not all members in order of succession are competent. There is an order of succession, and whoever is in line will be the next ruler, regardless if he or she has the qualities of being the future head of state. New Zealand is a capitalist country. It has been a capitalist country since the 1980s. Capitalism basically means a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. Some characteristics of capitalism is that, first of all, there's free competition. Free competition is the freedom to produce and the freedom to trade what one has produced. New Zealand scored an 87.2 for the trade freedom and 80 for both investment and financial freedom. Second of all, it's profit motive. This means that companies exist to make profit. The motive for many companies is to make and sell goods and services only for profits, and only some companies exist to satisfy people's needs. Third of all, there's a minimal government intervention. New Zealand scored a 91.4 for the business freedom, meaning that the government does not have many restrictions to one starting their own business. New Zealand scored a 95 for property rights, meaning that a person has a lot of rights for their own property. So some of the pros and cons of having a capitalism economic system is that, first of all, for positive, there's private ownership. Since there's a minimal government intervention, people and corporations can own their own land, goods, and investment. This means that there's a lot more power for the people. Second of all, it has already been said there's freedom to open businesses. And third of all, it has already been said there's free competition, therefore competition is fair. The negative things is that, first of all, abusive system. Some people could abuse the freedom given to them, and some of the possible abuses include unfair practices on labor field, paying less than they should for cost of living, and having unsafe conditions to work in. Second of all, social benefit is ignored. Since the system is based on profit, many people would think of products that will give them greater profit rather than products that actually benefit the community. And third of all, mega companies can take over. There are many small privately owned companies in a capitalist society, but when corporations grow and become huge, they can buy out and push out the smaller companies. In my opinion, New Zealand is a great place to live in. First of all, in 2016, New Zealand's economic freedom score was 81.6. It is the third economically freest country in the world after Hong Kong and Singapore. Second, the tax rate is about 16%, which is not considered high compared to other countries. Third of all, since 2013, New Zealand is considered to be the 7th best country to be born due to the quality of life. And fourth of all, since 2014, New Zealand is considered to be the least corrupt country with a CPI score of 91.